Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Katie and I do lifestyle and finance videos, and today I'm going to be talking about a little bit of a touchy subject, but something I'm personally very interested in is how much money should you spend on an engagement ring. So this myth of spending 3 months of your salary on your engagement ring was created by an ad campaign. I'll link some of the information below, but I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but basically it was a ploy to get people to spend more money so their business could increase because they were losing a lot of business. So this became like mainstream that people now think that you should spend 3 months salary on a engagement ring. Also, when you see sort of celebrities spending like $400,000 on a ring, you know, we kind of get into this idea that, wow, the engagement ring is like a symbol of love. And what is a symbol of love if not money in, you know, a consumer society? But now it became sort of like the notion that if you get engaged, you should spend 3 months salary, which is a complete myth. Telling people to spend 3 months salary makes no sense. If you make $1,000 a month and you're buying a $3,000 engagement ring, that's probably not a great financial decision. As well as if you're making $5,000 a month, should you be spending $15,000 on an engagement ring? 3 months salary on a wedding ring has no indication of any sort of finances of a person. You know, you could be extremely wealthy or low income, and saying that you should be spending 3 months of salary is crazy, not even taking into consideration, you know, personal financial goals. So just know that that is a myth. My first tip to figuring out how much money you should spend on an engagement ring is to decide how much money to spend on an engagement ring. We're done. Thank you for watching this video. Number one, really think about your financial goals. So what are your long-term goals? What are your short-term goals? Are you trying to save for a house? Do you have to pay for a wedding? Do you have student loan debts? You know, do you want to take a massive vacation or a honeymoon? What are your, you know, 1 to 5 year financial goals and your long-term goals? And on top of that, how does this engagement ring fit in? So if you're going to be spending $1,000 on engagement ring, $5,000, $10,000, $100, how does that fit into your wider financial goals? And that is the number one question to ask yourself before deciding how much money to spend, because you have to understand what your current financial status is. One tip I have is to have a conversation with your partner and really think about, you know, what type of money are you both comfortable putting down? I know it's typically like the person that's proposing, but if you are going to be engaged and married, in some ways your finances are going to be entwined. So, you know, when my husband proposed to me, yes, we had separate bank accounts at that time. Okay, if you spend $5,000 on engagement ring, that's $5,000 taken away from something else. So really think about what your financial goals are, what your financial situation is, and how that comes into play. The second thing to think about when you're buying an engagement ring or figuring out how to spend what type of money you should be spending on your engagement ring is understand that engagement rings do not appreciate in value. This is very, very important. Very rarely, if any time, an engagement ring will appreciate in value. Meaning if you buy an engagement ring for $100 and down the line for some reason you want to sell it, you know, maybe you got another engagement ring, maybe you don't like it anymore, maybe you got divorced, I don't know, but understand that you're never going to get more than $100 for it. You might get equal value. Very rarely will you even get equal value, but you are going to get less value. Understand that as soon as you buy it, it starts to depreciate in value. And, you know, for you, that might not matter. You know, you're just buying this because it's a symbol of love, and this is something that you're going to have for a long time and value. But know that once you spend the $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, it's gone. And it's the same thing for weddings. Like, weddings aren't a great return on investments. So engagement rings aren't a great return on investment, and maybe you're not trying to make it that way. You just want to spend this money because, you know, you want to show your love and you want to spend your life with them. But just use that notion in your head that once you spend the money, it's gone. You're not seeing it again. I mean, you're seeing it on your beautiful finger, but it's gone. The third thing to think about when buying your engagement ring is this a ring that your partner is going to be wearing long term? So what's the style? What's the trend? Is this something that, you know, they're not going to necessarily want to be upgraded, or they might want something upgraded over time? And this is a little bit difficult to think of because, you know, it's trying to predict trends, and, you know, trends come in and out. So you probably could predict, like, if you get like a classic princess cut ring, you're always going to like that, but it's personal preference. You know, something that you like right now might look different 5-10 years down the line. So really think about if this is going to be like the sole ring that you wear every single day, you're never going to get it upgraded, and this is like the one that you're going to get. Because Because one thing that a lot of people do is if they want a really fancy like 2-carat ring, you know, we're just talking about like traditional diamond rings. If you know, you want that, but right now it doesn't make sense for you financially to spend like $10,000 on a ring. Are you comfortable with getting a smaller ring because you know down the line, like this is your dream ring, it's something that's a little bit out of your price point right now? Are you guys okay with getting engaged in like an alternative type of engagement ring, knowing down the line, once you buy your house, once you know, spend money on the wedding, once you pay off your student debt, you will feel more comfortable spending more money on a ring? That is something to really think about. The next tip I have is to think about like your lifestyle and what your day-to-day life is going to look like. And this is going back into like, once you get engaged, the wedding industry sort of like sucks you in and convinces you to spend all this money that you actually shouldn't be spending. But really think about like what your lifestyle is as a person, or like your partner. So if you're engaged to somebody or wanting to get engaged, what type of lifestyle do they live? Are they somebody that's going to want a big engagement ring? Are they somebody that's going to actually wear their engagement ring every day? Or are, you know, because of their lifestyle, where they work, you know, what their day-to-day activities are, they're probably just going to wear a band. This is really important and something I wish I did differently. I was getting engaged with my husband and I got so obsessed with like beautiful engagement rings, these like 2-3-carat diamond rings, and then I saw the prices of them and I was like, okay, never mind. You know, I love my engagement ring, but like my lifestyle, I am not someone that wears jewelry. I'm not even wearing jewelry right now, and I like got dressed up to do this video and I didn't even put on jewelry. You know, I'm not somebody that actually really enjoys wearing rings. I mean, I really like to say I'm this person that like accessorizes and looks great all the time, but like I'm not. I do like the bare minimum, and the bare minimum is like kind of putting on my rings sometimes. Like most of the time I forget. So one thing I really regret is not really thinking about like my lifestyle, in the sense of like I'm not really a big ring person. So is an engagement ring that really important to me on a day-to-day basis? No. Was it important to me when it was like, oh my god, Katie, you're engaged? It was like I was the first one of my friends groups to get engaged, so it was like really big peer pressure of like, what kind of engagement ring are you guys gonna get? Like, what are you gonna get? And I felt a lot of peer pressure and kind of ended up in that mindset of like, oh, I need to get like a really nice engagement ring. And now looking back like 4 years later, when my husband's gonna be watching this video, being like I told you, I'm not like a ring person. I'm barely wearing my wedding band. So really think about like what your lifestyle is. Are you going to be wearing this ring every single day? And my next tip for thinking about how much money you spend on your engagement ring is do research. Do research. This is so important. So if you're the one buying it for your partner, or you're working with your partner, or buying each other engagement rings, do your research. Do a lot of research of what type of styles you guys like, what is your ideal sort of ring, and understand the price points of those rings, because engagement rings can get really expensive very quickly. And little things that you might not even know about, like the 4 C's, do research on that. I'm not going to get into that in this video, but even the material. So having a platinum ring is a lot more expensive than white gold. Little differences. So think about like the style and what you want, what size of a ring you want, the carat, the color, the cut, the quality, all that stuff. It really fluctuates in prices, and you can go from like having this like tiny little ring and it's $5,000, and you're like, but it's so small. And like, well, that's because it's got a perfect cut, has this setting that costs $2,000. You know, it can get really expensive really quickly. So do your research. Do a lot of research, because you'll understand, yes, you might want this ideal ring, but when you see the price associated with it, maybe you'll be open to other things. Another thing I wish I would have done research on is alternatives to diamonds. I love diamonds, but diamonds are not rare. They're actually not that expensive. They just have like a crazy markup price, and they withhold a lot of the diamonds, so that makes it a lot more expensive than it is. But do some research into gemstones that maybe give the same appearance of diamonds but are a lot more affordable. Maybe you don't even want a diamond, maybe you want like a ruby or a gemstone or something a little bit different. Cubic zirconic. I mean, there are some rings that I see that I'm like, that looks better than like my friends' rings that they spent like 20K on. And it's like a friend of a friend's whose husband spent like $30,000 on a ring, and I'm just like, could I just have $30,000? I'd prefer that. But do your research, you know, think about the style, the cut, everything that you want, like what your ideal rings are, and go do your research to understand if what you want is actually like $5,000, $10,000, $100, and if you're comfortable spending that money. My last tip, which is the most important tip of all this, is how much you should spend money on your engagement ring is such a personal choice. I can't tell you to spend $1,000, $100, $100,000. It is what is comfortable to you. So, you know, I know it's really hard because sometimes there's like a lot of peer pressure and Pinterest exists. So you're just like, oh my God, look at this 4-carat ring. I should have a 4-carat ring. Understand that it's a very personal choice. So there's no right amount of money to spend. $10,000 on an engagement ring might be right for you, or $100 might be right for you. It's a really personal decision, and it's a decision that you solely with your partner should be making. You know, really think about how this fits into your life. If you want to splurge on a really nice engagement ring because you know the person's going to be wearing this every day and it's really important to them, totally fine. If you're somebody that, you know, has financial goals that you are kind of putting ahead and you would rather spend, you know, the $1,000 you would have spent on the engagement ring to go towards maybe a house or paying off your student debt, that's fine as well. It's a really personal decision. So just know that it is a decision that you and only you can make. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you did like this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I make a lot of videos about finance, lifestyle, budgeting, just as like somebody in their 20s trying to learn these things, because none of us learned this in school unless you were really lucky. So I hope you really enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys next time.